What is up there, everybody? Citrus Aviation here with yet another video, and today we have the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport update for October 2021. There are a lot of changes here in this video, and we'll get started with them, starting with the new terminal layout. Now, I know that you all are used to this layout here that you've seen. There's Terminal T in the background, in the back row there, and then this terminal here is Terminal Alpha. You've seen that layout before. I've used it for most of my airport updates. However, I have a new layout that I am about to show you. This is the new layout. So it'll have 3 terminals. You can see off to the left, far left, with the wood terminal is Terminal C. The boxes represents Terminal D, Terminal Delta, and then the line of boxes here with the wide bodies represents Foxtrot Terminal, or F Terminal. So that will be that setup. You can see I have this board of wood that I've had for a while but haven't been able to use, and so I'm finally going to build that into a nice table. Right now it's just on the wood on some blocks to hold it up, and I will make it much better quality and build a proper table frame around it, put some legs on it, that sort of thing. So that'll be what I do there. But this is going to be my new Atlanta setup. There are, I believe, 72 aircraft on this setup, so this will be a bit of a long video probably. However, 72 aircraft will be able to represent Atlanta even more accurately than before. So with all that being said, let's get started with Tango Terminal. All of these routes are going to be based off of the September and October schedules, with quite a few routes being picked that I saw in Atlanta myself, including these 767 routes. Here we have a 763 who came in from Las Vegas and will be going out to San Francisco. Interesting enough, when I was flying through Atlanta, a lot of 767s do actually park here at the T terminal, which I thought was really interesting. Next up, we have a 767-300 without winglet who came in from New York JFK and will be going out to Minneapolis. These are 767 routes I did see. I am using my 767 without winglets because I don't have another 767 with winglets, but hopefully that'll be changing here as I try to get a couple of the older releases of the 763 with winglets. Here we have a Delta A321 who came in from Memphis and will be going out to Phoenix Sky Harbor or Red River Aviation's airport, while some of the more interesting aircraft type like the Airbus A330-200 and 757 are still flying to Phoenix. The A321 is currently the most common aircraft according to the new schedule. Now, I would use the A330-200, however, I currently do not have a model one. Hopefully that will change soon and I will get a Delta A330-200, but as of right now, I'm just using the A321 because that is what I have. The final aircraft over here at the Delta section of Tango Terminal on the south side is the Delta Connection ERJ-170. Now this is a very interesting aircraft because Atlanta is mostly a CRJ hub. They do not have many E-170 flights at all. And the flights that they have on the ERJ-170 out of Atlanta are extremely intentional. So for example, this aircraft came in from Chicago Midway and will be going out to Hilton Head Island. Now these two routes are really important for the same reason. Both these two airports have approaches are very difficult and short runways, therefore the ERJ-170 is deemed to be a better aircraft for the route because of its short runway capabilities. The CRJs would be fine at Midway. I mean, Southwest flies 737-800s in there all the time, but the E-170 adds a little bit better space, a little bit more, safety net with the runway capabilities. So those are used. These aircraft will usually fly, say for example, Detroit to Chicago Midway, and then Chicago Midway to Atlanta, and then return going the other way. These aircraft are not based out of Atlanta, and therefore Delta does not want to have these aircraft do the regular thing when they come from another city, come into the hub, go to a different city. So they do the interesting thing where Atlanta is sort of a destination instead of the place where the aircraft comes in and then it goes to on a different route. So Atlanta is actually the turn city for the E-170 routes into Atlanta, which is really interesting. Here we have a United 737-700 on the taxiway, and he is coming in from Chicago O'Hare. Interestingly enough, this is the only 700 route currently flown on United Airlines, and you can see the Continental Globe 700 coming in on that route. This is the new NG one that I have, and I'll be rotating my NG 700s here with future updates. But I did see this aircraft coming in on this route, which is super cool, and it's currently the only 700 route into Atlanta for United, so I can only sell one per update. So yeah, eventually I'll rotate through all the new NG ones, but yeah, it's a great model, and it's a really interesting route for United. United is currently using a huge variety of aircraft into Atlanta. They're using a little bit of everything, and they fly them on a lot of different routes. So it's really interesting, United's operations into Atlanta. Over here we have a Boeing 757-300 who is currently being towed over to maintenance, where he will have maintenance work done overnight. He came in from Minneapolis earlier in the day, and then after his maintenance he'll be towed over tomorrow morning, where he will prepare for an early morning departure to Seattle. Still currently the only CRJ 900 route for American Eagle is the flight to Charlotte. This is a once a day flight, and I believe this is the early morning flight to Charlotte Douglas. At the gate next door, we have a US Airways operating for American Eagle ERJ 170 who came in from Charlotte Douglas and will be going out to Miami. Just finishing his turn to line up with the gate center line, here we have the American Airbus A321 who is just arriving in from Charlotte Douglas International Airport. After he does his after he offloads his passengers and reloads, they will be going out to Los Angeles. Interestingly enough, the Airbus A321 is the most common aircraft type used into Atlanta for American Airlines. That is not something I ever thought I'd say, but American Airlines is using the A321 to almost every single destination out of Atlanta. They use them Dallas Fort Worth, use them to Charlotte Douglas, they use them to Los Angeles, they use them to New York JFK, they use them to Miami. They're almost going everywhere for American to Atlanta. So American Airlines definitely sees that Atlanta is a market that is doing really well, and they are bringing large aircraft into that market. We have now moved over to the gate next door where United 737-800 is parked. Another destination Americans flying the A321 to is Philadelphia. Forgot to mention that in the American section, but yeah, we are now moving on to United, who is at the gate next door. Here we have a 737-800 who came in from Newark and will be going out to Washington Dulles. These are both 737-800 routes out of Atlanta, and they're both daily. The north side of Terminal T is used by United and American primarily, as well as Delta uses it, but primarily used for United and American. However, these gates are basically interchanged between the two airlines. When I was over at the Concourse Hotel, I could see those gates being used by both airlines and sort of interchanging in between depending on the current schedule. At the end of T Terminal, we have an E170 for United who came in from Houston George Bush Intercontinental and will be going out to Newark. Interestingly enough, United is not flying many E170s into Atlanta right now. They have a few a day, maybe 4 a day, but that's about it. A lot of their flights have been upgauged to mainline aircraft. Over at Alpha Terminal, we have a Delta 737-900, and this one is, I believe, the Spirit of Seattle livery, but it says on the nose either way, whichever one it is, the Spirit of Seattle or the CE Woman. This aircraft came in from Charleston and will be going out to Pensacola or Red River Aviation's airport. If you want a route, feel free to comment below. However, you do need to do the route in your airport, and we need to agree on an exact aircraft that we're going to do it on. It has to be the exact same release that we both have. Considering I have a ton of Delta aircraft, there's a good chance that I have one that you have as well. We could also do it on Southwest Airlines. You're going to see here in a minute, we have a lot of Southwest flights out of Atlanta, and I do have a lot of Southwest models as well. But yeah, you gotta do it in your own video, and yeah. So yeah, though that's how I do routes. That's basically the only rules. If you want a route, feel free to comment about it, and we'll see what we can do. The 737-800 came in from Cincinnati and we're going out to El Paso in Texas. This is the Gemini Jets 2015 release variant. Next up, we got a Boeing 737-900 with the split scimitar winglets. This aircraft came in from Seattle and will be going out to Greensboro in North Carolina. Here we have my second Jet's Delta A321. I don't remember which release this is, but I have two of them. I have 301 Delta November and I have 302 Delta November, which were the first two releases. I do not have the 2020 release yet. That was November 372 Delta November, but I do hope to get at some point. I do, however, have both NG models releases of the plane. But that being said, here we have the Delta A321, came from Boston, and will be going out to Albuquerque or Red River Aviation's airport. Right next to the food court, we have a Delta Boeing 757-200 who is loading up for a flight out to San Juan, and he came in from Tampa earlier. I actually saw this exact event occur when I was eating at Chick-fil-A. I was eating there about noontime, and there was a Delta 757-200 parked right next to the windows, right next to the general food court area. We can just eat and look out at the planes. And there was one of these 757s parked right next to me, right in this exact gate. It was pretty cool to see that plane there. And it's just amazing how close those planes get. I mean, they're literally, their winglets are just a couple of feet from the window, a 757 winglet. And I think that gate could occupy up to a 767, and yet they get so close to the tunnel. It's really impressive how at Atlanta they're able to tightly fit so many aircraft. It's pretty amazing. We've now moved over to the north side of the terminal, and here we have a Delta 737-800 in the SkyTeam livery. This aircraft came in from Charleston and will be going out to New Orleans. Next in line, we have a Boeing 737-900 who came in from Cleveland, and he'll be going out to Nashville. Next up, we got this Delta Boeing 757-200 Generation 2 without winglets. This aircraft came in from St. Thomas, or AS Aviation's amazing airport, and he'll be going out to JT Pilot's Jacksonville International Airport. He does basically a fictional, somewhat realistic version of Jacksonville, so it is close enough to count for a route. And so yeah, I'm sending this plane out to both your guys' airport, or in this case came in from St. Thomas and will go out to Jacksonville. But yeah, I thought I would do it on an unwingleted aircraft, as I have actually seen one of these flying to both destinations recently, so I thought I would put that route on this plane because I hadn't done that yet. Next up, we got a Delta 737-800 parked right next to the food court on the other side, which is more shopping, a little bit less food court, but more like shopping conveniences for like travel stuff that you might need. This aircraft came in from Birmingham and will be going out to Louisville or MK's Aviation's airport. Next up, here we have an A319 on the other side of the food court, and he is refueling. You can see the fuel truck down there at the bottom of the screen, and he is preparing for a flight out to Montgomery, and he came in from Key West earlier. Now, the Key West, Florida route is one where an aircraft with short landing and takeoff ability is required because of the short length of the runway and the fact there's water on either side of the runway. So the A319 is perfect for this route, just as the 737-700 was. And even though they could use a bigger aircraft to the airport, the runway limitations means that the A319 or smaller has to be used, and so that is why this aircraft is being used on the Key West route. Other than that, Delta just has a bunch of other interesting A319 routes out of Atlanta. Next up, we got the Airbus A321 in the Thank You livery, who came in from Milwaukee and will be going out to New York LaGuardia. I got to see this aircraft twice in Atlanta, which was super cool. The Thank You livery is pretty amazing, and one I look forward to seeing again. Next up, we got the original Jet's Delta 737-800 in the current livery. This aircraft came in from San Pedro Sula and will be going out to Nassau. Next up, we have a Delta 757-300. This is the Jet's 2015 release, as the first 757-300 you saw was a 2021 release. There was also a 2018 release with the winglets, and then there was a 2011 release without winglets. So total Jets has made 4 of these. This aircraft came in from Detroit, and he is currently loading up with passengers and bags for flight out to Los Angeles. Next up, we got this Boeing 757-200 who came in from Cincinnati and will be going out to Orlando. The Cincinnati flight is a recent upgauge. I believe that used to be an A320 or B738 and now the 752. They also have a 767-300 which goes in overnight, which is a pretty awesome flight to see. Over here you can see my replica of Terminal C. As you can see, I'm mostly representing the south side of Terminal C, as the north side is almost exclusively 717 parking. And you can see I only have two 717s in my current fleet, so I'm not really going to represent the north side very much, just because there's just a ton of 717s that parked there and I don't have a whole lot. So this is basically going to be the south side of Terminal C. So we have our two Delta A321s. Those are not A321s, those are 717-200s. But anyway, 717-200s, we got two of them for Delta. The top one came in from Wichita and will be going out to Des Moines as flight 2139. We just had our last Delta mainline 2139 for a while. That was on Monday, and then Tuesday we have a new schedule which has no mainline flights at all. So yeah, that was our last mainline flight for a while to Atlanta, or really to Des Moines at all for Delta. So yeah, the 717 was a cool plane. Looks like we're probably getting the 717 back in November though. So yeah, we're just going to temporarily until the 7th have no mainline flights out of Des Moines. The 717 on the bottom came in from Savannah Hilton Head and will be going out to Tulsa or Red River Aviation's airport. Starting off the very extensive southwest section, we have a Canyon Blue 800. This aircraft came in from Las Vegas and will be going out to Orlando. Next up, we got the Gemini-Jet 737-800 in the Heart 1 livery. This aircraft came in from Orlando and will be going out to San Antonio, Texas. Next up, we got the Southwest Classic by Gemini Jets. Now, I saw this aircraft's sister, November 711 Hotel Kilo, the Herb Kelleher aircraft, at Atlanta in a very similar paint scheme. But this aircraft, we're going to have him coming in from Greensboro Spartanburg, and he'll be going out to New York LaGuardia. Over here we have the Gemini Jet, I almost said Delta, but Southwest 737-800 in the Canyon Blue livery. And this aircraft came in from Denver and will be going out to St. Louis, two other Southwest hub routes. Next up we have the Tennessee 1 by, of course, Gemini Jets. This aircraft came in from Dallas Love Field and will be going out to Austin. Here we have the first release Gemini Jet 737 MAX 8. I do not have the second release, however I do have the third release on pre-order. This aircraft came in from Houston Hobby and will be going out to Chicago Midway. Next up we have the Southwest 737-700, and this one is in the Heart livery. This aircraft came in from Panama City, Florida, and he'll be going out to Myrtle Beach. After the Gemini Jet variant of the 700, here we have the very bright Panda 737-700S. This aircraft came in from Milwaukee and will be going out to Memphis. Next up we got the NG Malls 737-800, and this one came in from Columbus, Ohio, and he'll be going out to Little Rock. Next up, the NG Malls 737-700S with the Canyon Blue winglets came in from Raleigh-Durham, and then he'll be going out to Omaha Eppley Airfield. The Gemini Jets Colorado 1 came in from Nashville and will be going out to Kansas City. The final aircraft here at Charlie Terminal is the 737-700. This is the OG Gemini Jets 2014 release of November 478 November Whiskey, or Whiskey November actually, and this one is an awesome plane back from the era when it was really hard to get Southwest models. Now they seem to be coming out from everywhere, and I have so many Southwest models I actually need to show you guys that I still want to show in unboxing videos first. But yeah, tons of Southwest models coming out nowadays. Back then, when this came out in August 2014, this was a huge deal because there weren't many Southwest models available, and now we are so blessed to just have as many as we want basically. So it's pretty incredible how people can now build up their Southwest fleets, whereas in the past you really couldn't do that. Next up, we have some aircraft on a taxiway between Charlie and Delta Terminal. Here we have an American 737-800 in the Air Cal Retro. He is here on a turn from Charlotte Douglas. Next up in the lineup, we have an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737-800 in the Spirit of Seattle livery. This is on one of two Alaska Airlines flights a day into Atlanta. This is the afternoon Seattle flight, and there is also a morning Seattle flight that we will talk about later. But the afternoon one is on an 800, and I don't have a standard livery, current livery 800, so I'm going to use my special, one of the two that I got in a recent unboxing, and this one is the gorgeous Spirit of Seattle livery. Next in the lineup, we have this Delta CRJ 900, who arrived in from Gulfport, Mississippi earlier, and he is now taxiing out for departure out to Des Moines, Iowa as flight 4750. This flight leaves Atlanta at about 9:47 a.m. and arrives at Des Moines at an estimated 10:50 a.m. However, this flight is often early, so it'll often come in around 10:30 to 10:45 a.m., but it's a pretty cool flight to walk anyway. Next up, we got an Alaska 737-900 by Gemini Jets. This aircraft is here on the morning Seattle turn, and yeah, the morning turn for Alaska Airlines is on a 737-900 as shown here, and this is the Gemini Jets variant. The final aircraft in the lineup is this Delta Airbus A321. This is the Gemini Jets, not Gemini Jets, but NGMAL's regular variant. They made two. They made the regular one, and of course they made the thank you livery. This aircraft came in from Raleigh-Durham and will be going out to Dallas-Fort Worth or Red River Aviation's airport. The next section of the update will show this Delta Terminal here. As you can see, I have a bunch of aircraft lined up. Delta Terminal is mostly used by, of course, Delta Airlines, but does have a lot of other clients that serve it, particularly on the south side of the terminal, which is what we are going to mainly focus on. But of course, you can also see that lineup of regional jets there on the north side that we will also talk about. At Delta Terminal, we have a United Airbus A319 who is here on a turn from Houston George Bush Intercontinental. Occasionally, a United A319 will be parked over here, or even at Echo Terminal, you will see one gate, which is somewhat of a common use gate, which is used by a combination of Delta Airlines, JetBlue, American, and United. Even Spirit will park over there. It's on the very far north edge of Echo Terminal, and you'll be able to see like an interesting lineup of aircraft there. Speaking of JetBlue, here is their E190 who came in from Newark and will be going out to New York JFK. Currently, this airline is only using ERJ190s into Atlanta. However, occasionally an A320 will file in. However, it is pretty much all ERJ190s at this point. Next up, we have the Spirit Airbus A321. This aircraft came in from Chicago O'Hare and will be going out to Fort Lauderdale. When I was in Atlanta, I did see a Spirit Airbus A321 and it was going to Fort Lauderdale. However, this aircraft type is very uncommon at the airport. You'll only see one of these every few days. And so hopefully when I get more Spirit planes, it'll allow me to populate the Echo Terminal and Delta Terminal much more realistically with actual Spirit aircraft that come in a lot more common. I do have that Panda special release Spirit A320 coming, and I hope to get more Spirit aircraft as well. So yeah, the A321 still an awesome plane, but not one that really comes in to Atlanta very much. Next up, we have an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737-900 in the turn from Seattle, and this one is the NGMAL's variant. I just put this here because I want to put the NG variant on the table. You'll see I have a lot of Alaska planes here just because I wanted to, and so I have that plane parked over here. Over here we have a US Airways ERJ170 operating for American Eagle. This aircraft came in from Reagan National Airport and will be going out to Miami. Those are pretty much the other two E170 routes that I did not show on the other E-Jet. But yeah, the ERJ170 is very common for American Eagle. However, it is really only the second most common aircraft, as for whatever reason the A321 is the most common aircraft for American Airlines out of Atlanta. It's pretty crazy how ridiculous the A321 and how prolific it is out of Atlanta, with American Airlines, Delta Airlines, Spirit Airlines, and Frontier all operating the A321s out of Atlanta. Starting over at the Delta Regional Jet section, here we have a CRJ200 who came in from Mobile and will be going out to Valdosta. Alrighty, and continuing on with the smaller city toy, here we have the Delta Connection Crj 900. This is the Gemini Jets variant in the Comair 30 years livery. This aircraft came in from Asheville, North Carolina, and he'll be going out to Dayton, Ohio. Next up, we have one of many of the 2021 released Delta CRJ 900s that I have. This one came in from Springfield, Missouri, and he'll be going out to Jacksonville, North Carolina. Yes, there is a Jacksonville, North Carolina airport code for that. It's OAJ. Next up, we have a CRJ-900, another March 2021 release. This aircraft came in from White Plains, New York, and he'll be going out to Moline, Illinois. The next CRJ-900 from that March 2021 release, this aircraft came in from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and will be going out to Augusta, Georgia. Next up, we have a Delta CRJ-900, but this one is the OG release. This is the good release that everybody really wants. This is from 2008, and this one is the one that some poor soul did actually pay $1,600 to buy. Now, I actually paid $108.88 to buy this model, as it is still a very valuable and pretty rare model. And this aircraft, we're going to have him coming in from, where did I have him? Let me check that real quick. Had him coming in from Knoxville, Tennessee, and he'll be going out to Lexington or Outer Rim Aviation's airport. Congratulations, sir, you get this very special plane going to your airport. Going back to the complete garbage release that Jeremy just made, we have two more. This aircraft came in from Arlington, Pennsylvania, and he'll be going out to Roanoke, Virginia. And then the final CRJ-900 on the tour of cities in America you might not know exist. This aircraft came in from Wilmington, North Carolina, station code India Lima Mike, and he'll be going out to Wichita, Kansas, station code India Charlie Tango. Next up, here we have this American Airlines A320, who is here from Dallas Fort Worth. Now, I did see one of these come in a while I was in Atlanta. However, shortly after I left, that flight got upgauged to an A321, and they no longer fly the Airbus A320s into Atlanta. Next up, we have a plane that I did see in Atlanta. However, I sadly did not get a video of it. This is the Alaska Airlines Boeing 737-900 in the One World livery. I was waking up when I saw this plane departing, and I was not able to get my camera out in time. But yeah, this plane did depart on that morning turn to Seattle. It's a pretty cool airplane, and great livery. It's just so sad I just missed it, but hopefully next time I'll be able to get it. This is moving on to another airplane that I saw in Atlanta, was this Westjet 737-800. This is a model that was given by the Funny Airplane Model Store, and I'll be doing a review of it as well. But so far the model has been great, and it was really cool to see this plane coming from Calgary, which is where this aircraft is here. He's on return from Calgary, but this was just on the first day. So I was there for 3 days, and then I left the following day. Interesting enough, this plane was just the first plane I saw. There were 2 other Westjet flights, one a day. On the other 2 days, my second day I saw a Westjet Max 8 in this old livery, and then the final day I saw a Westjet Max 8 in the new livery, which was super cool. So every single day I saw a different Westjet aircraft, which was super awesome. And yeah, it was really great to see, and now I have some interesting and good Westjet footage, and I got to see 2 Max 8s, which was super cool, from Westjet, one the old livery, one the new livery, and then I saw this Westjet 800S. It was a pretty awesome trip overall. Definitely recommend you going to Atlanta if you can make it there. The Renaissance Concourse, you can get some great views there, and it's just an awesome place to visit. Next up, we have the Frontier Gates, which are on the south side of the Delta Terminal. Here we have an A320 who came in from New LaGuardia and will be going out to Raleigh-Durham. This aircraft is November 310 Foxtrot Romeo. It is Sunny the Colored Lizard, and interestingly enough, I got to see this aircraft fly in to Des Moines yesterday. I'm recording this on Wednesday. You're going to see this on Friday, but the day before this I was working at Des Moines, and our operations room is right below Charlie 1, which is currently the Frontier Gate, and this airplane came in and I was able to see it, which was super cool to see Sunny the Colored Lizard parked right out in front of our ops. I was able to see out the window. It was a really cool plane, and this is one of my favorite Frontier liveries for a reason, and I'm really happy that I have the model of it. The final Frontier plane here is this Airbus A321 in the Steve the Eagle livery. Interestingly enough, I did actually see this plane come out of Atlanta. I saw it depart. I didn't even realize it was Steve the Eagle till I got home. I was looking at the footage and was like, oh, that's Steve the Eagle. Anyway, it was super cool. This aircraft was on a turn from Philadelphia, so that is where I have them going to, Philadelphia, pretty cool to see Steve the Eagle at Atlanta, and I have the model of it, so I'm going to show it right here. The final section for this update will be the Foxtrot Terminal with a lineup as well, so let's get started with that. There are some really interesting things here to talk about. First up in the lineup, we have this Delta Airbus A330. This aircraft came in from Johannesburg as Flight 201. After his long turn, about a 4-hour turn, he will go back to Johannesburg as Flight 200. This is one of the longest flights in the entire world, taking up to 22 hours to complete, particularly if they're heading westbound. That is often going to be when they're going against the tailwind, going against the headwind, and so that slows down their flight. Versus going eastbound when they have a tailwind, they can do it in under 15 hours. So you can see that difference of about 7 hours is huge just because of a tail or a headwind. Next up, we got Jazz Air 7550 taxiing out for its flight out to Toronto Peterson. This flight has returned to Atlanta, and it is on Air Canada with the CRJ-900. Now, some of you might wonder what happened to the CRJ-705s, and all those have been or are going to be converted to the CRJ-900s. This one is one that was delivered as a CRJ-900. However, the remaining 705s are to be converted. The flight to Atlanta is Jazz Air 7550, and it's a higher flight number, but still really cool flight that Air Canada does have service directly to Atlanta. Next up, we have a new model. This is the Delta Airbus A330. This one is the Geojet variant, or I guess not a new model for this update, but fairly new. This is the second update that's been in, and yeah, it's a pretty cool plane. This one is on a route from, let me find what I wrote down for this one. This one is here from Detroit at Flight 305. And then he'll go back to Detroit as Flight 386. Now, interesting thing about this is Delta is flying from A350 from Atlanta to Detroit. This is a flight that I actually like to take, so at some point I might make this a day trip in the near future. But what will happen is an aircraft will come in from an international destination, it'll offload, and then it will take a flight to Detroit, and then it will take international flights from there. This is often a repositioning method, so these flights are often fairly empty, but basically Delta is flying the A350 between Detroit and Atlanta as repositioning only flights, and so you won't see this on the schedule super regularly, but every so often you will see an A350 flying Detroit to Atlanta, and I'd really like to fly on one of these, particularly domestically, where it's a lot easier to fly right now because going to other countries, there are a lot of regulations around that right now. They're doing a similar thing with Atlanta to Los Angeles, but I haven't seen that route so much recently. Next up, and the final aircraft in the lineup, is this Air France Boeing 777-300ER. This aircraft did come in while I was in Atlanta. I did not get to catch it, but it came in on the south runway, so wasn't really able to get a view of it at all. But this was an interesting aircraft because this was a diversion flight, so the 333 is currently not being regularly operated into Atlanta. However, this aircraft did come in because there was a diversion. The aircraft, I believe, was flying Paris to Miami. The aircraft had to divert to Atlanta because of a medical emergency, and so this aircraft was in Atlanta, which is pretty cool. Next up, we got the Airbus A330-300. This aircraft came in from Frankfurt, and then he'll be going out to Cancun at Flight 291. And interestingly enough, the Delta A330s are very common, obviously, out of Atlanta, and I will be getting more because I just have unboxed 2 Delta A330s by Engine. So next update you'll see even more routes, but they fly quite a few of these, and I got to see a lot of these come in and out while I was in Atlanta. It was super cool to see them. That's an awesome plane. Hopefully I can add the A330-200 for domestic flights, but yeah, great plane. And some of the landings I saw in Atlanta were just buttery smooth and really nice. But yeah, this is an awesome plane. Next up, we got the second NG Models Delta A350. This aircraft came in from ICN, or it's Tokyo, not Tokyo Incheon. I almost said Tokyo, and that would have been weird, but not Tokyo Incheon, Seoul Incheon as Flight 36. And then he'll be going off to Paris Charles de Gaulle as Delta Flight 82. Next up, we got this KLM 777-300ER who came in from Amsterdam. I did see one of these. However, interesting enough, one of the KLM Asia current livery 777-300ERs. So because I saw that, I would really like to get a model of it. On the final day I was there, Orange Pride also came in. However, it came in on the south runway, so I didn't really get a video of it at all, sadly. But it's still a cool plane. KLM flies a combination of 777s and A330s depending on the day of the week. Next up, we have this Air France Airbus A350. This aircraft is here from Paris Charles de Gaulle. Now this flight is either once or twice a day depending on the day, but it is still really cool to see that Air France is back in Atlanta and that they are flying a very modern airliner into Atlanta. On some days you will see the 777-200, however I currently do not have a 777-200 for Air France, however that will be changing as I will begin a Phoenix Air France 777-200 and 777-300. So the Phoenix one will be replacing the Gemini 333 because the Phoenix variant is much better. And yeah, that's Air France operations at Atlanta. I'm really glad I pretty much have all the bases now covered. With Atlanta Ops, I'll have a 222, an A350, and two 333s. I would really like to get an A380 as well because those did fly in here and it'd be kind of cool to put that in as sort of a retro thing. A 787 is probably something I will need to get for Air France because they do fly in occasionally. However, they have not been flying in recently, so the A350 is what I'll be using for the meantime. Next up, we got a Qatar Airways A350-900. This aircraft is here from Doha. When I was in Atlanta, I did see this aircraft land on the north side of the runway once, which is super cool. I got a video of it. You've probably seen the spotting sort video of it by now, or you've seen it in my 1 hour heavy spotting compilation video, which would have just come out as the video before this one. But yeah, it's a pretty cool airplane. I was super happy to see this in Atlanta, and it was one of my very first Airbus A350 spottings I'd ever seen, and my first A350 that I'd ever seen of an airline outside the United States. So pretty cool plane. Really glad I had this Gemini model from a long time ago, and I do look forward to hopefully getting the NG variant in the near future. Next up, we had the Volcan Atlantic 787-9. This was the, I believe, second 787 I'd ever seen, and I saw this in Atlanta. Interestingly enough, the very first 787 I ever saw was also in Atlanta. That was the Air Canada Fly the Flag special livery. Pretty cool plane. And yeah, this Volcan Atlantic 789 is an awesome model. And yeah, it's one that flies in, but it is an aircraft that doesn't fly in consistently because it's either this plane or the Airbus A350-1000 that flies in. I did see the A350-1000 for Volcan Atlantic, but it landed on the south side. I got a video of it, not an amazing video, but I did at least capture it. And so I will be getting the Aviation 400 A350-1000. While I could get the Phoenix variant, that one is not as good as the Aviation 400 one, so I will be getting that one instead. Speaking of Aviation 400, the last model here is the Delta A350-900 by Aviation 400. This plane came in from Tokyo Haneda, or Hanada, I don't know how it's said, I'll just say Hanada. This aircraft is in as Delta Flight 295 from Tokyo Hanada, and it'll be heading out as Flight 296 to Haneda. So, pretty cool plane, and that concludes the international aircraft lineup. So that concludes this airport update for Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport for October 2021. We had 72 planes in this video, and yeah, we had a lot of interesting routes and a few new models. And yeah, so that was it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all found it entertaining or interesting to see what my representation of Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson looks like in 1 to 400 scale. I would like to make this airport larger in the future, but right now I'm pretty happy with where it is, as it fits my collection size really well and allows me to sell most of the things I want to sell in Atlanta. So that is pretty much it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless you.